Hi, and welcome to another episode of SWITCHCast, a podcast delving into the world of film brought to you by the team at Switch. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Charlie David Page.
I'm Jess Fenton.
I'm Brent Davidson.
And I'm Chris Edwards.
It's Thursday the 12th of April 2018.
On this week's show, can we still cherish the films we grew up with when watched with today's socially sensitive eye?
Plus, I have a mild breakdown as we discuss Meryl Streep's return to television on the new Big Little Lies and look at more celebrities who are taking the plunge into TV.
There was nothing mild about it, honey.
Yeah, there was not.
And as always, all our reviews and giveaways.
Let's get straight into it with Isle of Dogs. Jess embarked on this adventure for a film that's been receiving a rough time online. It's doggedly been hounded by the keyboard warriors. So Jess, is it possible that it's actually Wes Anderson who let the dogs out?
Oh God, you've just abandoned all sense to get your stupid puns in.
Hey, I'm going to do it while Daniel's not here.
Yippee-yi-yo.
Okay. Japan is in the grips of a devastating disaster. All of the nation's pooches have taken ill with canine flu or snout fever. Mayor Kobayashi, Kunichi Nomura, who comes from a long line of cat lovers dating back to an ancient grudge, exiles all dogs to Trash Island, starting with Spots, voiced by Liev Schreiber, the bodyguard to his nephew Atari, Koyu Rankin. Stealing a plane, Atari crash lands on Trash Island, now known as the Isle of Dogs, where he runs into a pack voiced by Edward Norton, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Murray, Bob Balaban, and Bryan Cranston. They decide, some reluctantly, to help the little pilot with his quest. But back on land, a conspiracy is rising when the mayor quashes a cure for the disease and an American exchange student, voiced by Greta Gerwig, rallies the nation's dog lovers to expose the lies and corruption.
We get the idea. You're looking for your lost dog Spots. Does anybody know it?
No. I've lost all of my pride.
Spots, if he's alive, may very well be living even at this moment as a captive prisoner.
Somebody is up to something. Will you help him? The little pilot.
Why should I?
Because he's a 12-year-old boy. Dogs love those.
We'll find him. Wherever he is, if he's alive, we'll find your dog.
It's gonna be a fight!
Exquisitely animated using stop motion, it's perfectly imperfect in the true Wes Anderson way. The definition of quirky, it's a hilarious yet not laugh-out-loud comedy with thematic implications in today's cultural and political climate. A Wes Anderson film is like the cinematic equivalent to how most people describe my apartment. Nothing matches, yet everything somehow goes together.
A bold claim.
Using both American and Japanese performers, each speaking in their native tongue without the use of subtitles, it's a bold move that speaks volumes to Anderson and his writing team's ability to tell a killer story with grand characters and not let a little thing like language get in the way. Made with the collaboration and cultural guidance of Japanese people, Isle of Dogs is not, I repeat, not a gross example of cultural appropriation. This is art and storytelling in its most wonderful and magical form. The dog lover in me gives this 1,000,000 stars, while the reviewer gives it 4.
Woof. Woof indeed.
Woof, woof, woof. I think the most beautiful thing about this film is the fact that it makes everybody who goes to see it say, I love dogs. You love dogs. I love dogs. We love dogs.
Oh my God, I didn't notice that until just now.
What?
What is wrong with me?
How can you not have realized?
I love dogs.
I see the words and I read them as they're written
and
and
you speak them.
God, it's been a long week. Okay, I just did not notice. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love dogs.
Lucky you love dogs too.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my God.
Wow, that derailed. Talk about a dog's dinner of a review. I mean,
Speaking of figuring out what people are talking about, let's turn the conversation to the issue of Orientalism and cultural appropriation.
Indeed.
And, let's have a sharp turn into the serious. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen the film yet, but I've been following the conversations online, particularly from Asian American critics who are writing really eloquently and interestingly about this issue. What did you think, Jess?
Well, I touched on it just then, and I also have written in my online article that I am of Asian persuasion, but I'm not Japanese. So I'm not going to take offense to this film on behalf of an entire nation and an entire culture. I am willing to listen to the criticism only by Japanese people and only if they have actually seen the film, not trailers, not read about it, not looked at posters, not forming opinions based on what they think is going to happen, but only if they have actually seen the film. But from my limited perspective, I don't think it is. I think as an Australian, I could write a movie that's set in America and no one would have an issue with it. I think Americans can write films that are set in Britain and no one has an issue with it. In this case, this is an American who set a film in Japan. And if you see the film and you understand it, I think the Japanese setting adds to the film once you've seen it. I don't think you can imagine the film being set anywhere else. And it does come with an acknowledgement at the beginning of the film that all the actors do speak in their native tongue and that no one's putting on an accent, no one's pretending to be Japanese, no one's pretending to be an American. It is what it is. They've got the best performers for the right role, and this is how it comes out. And I think it's art, and I think it's storytelling, and it's a piece of fantasy as well. It's a stop motion animation with talking dogs. I mean, if you're going to have an issue with it, why stop or why start at its setting?
I think it's less about the setting. I think it's more the treatment of the Japanese characters in the film is being called out a bit because of the speaking in native language, which is kind of great in and of itself, but the fact that none of the Japanese characters are subtitled. And so all of the lead dog characters are portrayed by predominantly American actors. So their voices and their stories are told in a way that is understandable to Western audiences. But then the Japanese characters are kind of othered in their own story. So because they're not subtitled, there's an inherent disjunction between the American voice characters, who are the leads, and then the Japanese characters in a story set in Japan, where they're either villainized or sidelined.
But wouldn't you sit there and say that that's Western privilege? Because you're saying people who only speak English are going to understand the English actors. And that's true. The point of the film and the way it's made so beautifully is that you sort of don't need to. It's like, has anyone here ever seen an opera? Do you understand anything the fuck those people are singing? Whether it's in English or Italian or French or whatever. And you don't, because they're singing it and a single syllable takes, several bars of music and you never understand what they're saying. But you don't need to. The characters and the music and the story is so powerful, you manage to follow along with it. And I feel it's the same way with this film. And I also address it in my online review, is that the Japanese characters are played by Japanese performers. And the end credits are littered with Japanese people who were technical consultants, whether it's the art or sushi making or the language or anything like that. This was made in collaboration with these people. And I think if there was going to be any objection to anything that was in the film, whether being inappropriate or offensive or otherwise, I would like to think it would have been brought up during the filmmaking process by the people that it was affecting instead of them just letting it go by.
Yeah, I think the conversation around it has actually been quite interesting and quite well articulated by a lot of the people who do have problems with it. So I would urge people to search those out before or after seeing the film. I myself haven't seen the film, so I look forward to being able to talk to you about this when I have, because I find this really fascinating.
I do want to wrap up with one really important thing, which was both lacking, Jess, from your article, your written article, and your review. These are two words which are basically the building blocks of SWITCHCast, and I'm kind of shocked and horrified that they are nowhere to be seen anywhere. Tilda Swinton.
You are absolutely right. Tilda Swinton is in this film. She plays a dog known as the Oracle, and they call her the Oracle because she's the only dog that can understand television, and the dog views them as visions of the future and what's to come. She has 3 or 4 lines in the film, but they are quite funny. But yes, Tilda Swinton is in this film. So, and on that note alone, I encourage everyone to go see it.
I mean, it wouldn't be a Wes Anderson film without Tilda Swinton. So.
No, or Bill Murray or Edward Norton or any of these fantastic people that are voice cast in the film. But yes, at the heart of this story is a boy and his dog, and that impenetrable loyalty and love that comes from that, which is universal. And I think it was really beautiful, and I think it's an incredibly made film, and I did love it. But yes, you can find my full review at maketheswitch.com.au, and Isle of Dogs, also known as I Love Dogs, is in cinemas now.
Well, also about today is Rampage. Brent didn't monkey about and stormed to the cinema to check this out. So, did this movie turn you into a raging monster?
I'm going to make no secret about it. I'm a massive nerd, and if you've listened to the podcast at all, you know I'm a lover of the worst films that could possibly be released. So, with my nerdery and my love of classic terrible films combined, why wasn't I particularly excited about Rampage? Genetic experiments set in space go awry, and these send 3 capsules of a serum designed to alter DNA, making subjects faster, stronger, and bigger fall to Earth, only to be absorbed by 3 different animals. One of these animals is an albino gorilla named George, who is looked after by Davis Okoye, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Davis, with the help of geneticist Kate Caldwell, played by Naomi Harris, heads to Chicago in order to cure George and stop the evil corporation who engineered the serum.
Last night, George was 7 feet and he weighed 500 pounds. George, you okay, buddy? You're scared. It's okay. This morning, he's 9 feet, pushing 1,000. What's happening to my friend?
Are you familiar with genetic editing? Changes will be incredibly unpredictable.
Is he the only one?
Oh, you didn't know about the 30-foot wolf?
Let's go save the world. It's coming back to me. It's coming back.
So, it's a pretty big stretch. It's amazing that they turned a video game that had no plot into a film with a slight plot. And video games like Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed, they're plot-driven more so than Rampage, which just saw you be 3 giant creatures destroying a city before the army killed you. Now, I said before I had really low expectations for this film, and that actually probably helped, because I walked out of this not hating it and not feeling like I'd completely wasted 2.5 hours of my life. This is just a classic, leave your mind at the door action film, and it ticks all the right boxes. It knows what it is, and it knows what it's doing, and let's be honest, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson films are almost becoming a genre in themselves. And that's why I'm giving this film 2.5 stars.
So we have Dwayne Johnson in yet another fairly mindless action / attempt at comedy, I guess.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus, why does this movie exist?
Is this what the world is asking for right now?
Do you know, the other day I was at the cinema and I looked over and there were 2 posters on the wall, and they were both Dwayne Johnson films, and one was Rampage and the other one was some other god-awful movie coming out called Skyscraper or something. And I was like, this guy makes too many movies and none of them are good. I don't understand.
He was in Moana, so we have to give him some credit. And he was great.
He sang in Moana. And then he sang at the Oscars and it was bad. No, that's true. He has too much appeal, too much money. People are willing to give him too much money to make these movies. I don't understand.
It just looks like Mighty Joe Young, directed by Michael Bay, and I don't need that in my life.
That is awesome. I love that. And hey, maybe we are the wrong portion of Switchcast to be talking about this film, because I know for a fact that both Daniel and Jake were champing at the bit to get into this screening. They were so disappointed that they really, really wanted to see this. I think they're hoping it's like dumb fun, like another San Andreas, basically. But I don't really hold that much hope for this film. Yeah.
So, Rampage is in cinemas now, and check out my full review at maketheswitch.com.au.
Also out today is Truth or Dare. Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars and Tyler Posey from Teen Wolf lead the cast in this supernatural thriller from Blumhouse Productions. A harmless game of truth or dare among friends turns deadly when someone or something begins to punish those who tell a lie or refuse the dare.
Something really weird has been going on ever since Mexico.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious. I'm seeing things.
Truth or dare?
Dare.
I know it sounds insane.
Just a little.
This fine young lady here dared me to show you my business.
Seen it before, not impressed. Carter said, tell the truth or you die. Do the dare or you die.
Refuse to play. You know what? Screw this. And you die.
This game is too smart. Half the people in this photo are now dead.
We need to find what started all this.
How do we get out of this game alive?
You can't.
Directed by Jeff Wadlow, the man who ruined Kick-Ass 2, this film stars a bevy of cheap, underage TV actors in the latest horror film from a production company whose recent track record has, well, let's be generous and say high highs and low lows.
Including
Very
Oscar-winning
generous.
highs.
Indeed,
So very
Oscar-winning
high, the highest of the highs.
The highest of the highs.
It's no secret that horror films make an absolute monster these days. Last week I reviewed A Quiet Place, and I mentioned in my online review that horror films, with the exception of a few, this being one of those exceptions, are getting smarter. And I think that when these movies come out, not only does it prove that point, but it also elevates the smart horror films, i.e. A Quiet Place and Get Out and such, that much higher. So, you know, these films do serve a purpose, and not just, you know, gratuitous sex scenes and stuff like that. I haven't seen it. I have no interest in seeing this film. But based on that description, also, it reminded me a lot of Unfriended. Anyone see that?
Boy,
that was that
did I.
horror film where they're all on Skype. Yeah. So there's a scene in the film, they all have to hold up, you know, five fingers.
Never have I ever.
Yeah, and if they don't tell the truth or if they lie or whatever, you know,
Skype.
they get punished or that, you know, by like dying and stuff. And it sounds exactly like that without the Skype and the like in the trailer with the creepy big mouths and stuff. I don't know. This
seems to be done
Creepy
a lot
big
less
mouths.
tactfully than Unfriended, and that's
creepy big mouths. I think we're definitely hitting a lull in the cinematic release schedule, and this is
It just seemed like one of those classic, like, shitty 80s horror movies that got, like, shat out on a regular basis. And, like, good for them. It seems like a kind of interesting concept, if not prettily realized. It looks pretty ugly, to be honest.
Yeah, and from the trailer, there's a sex scene in it where Lucy Hale goes evil while in the middle of doing it. So
yeah,
that's
with
something
Tyler
to look
Posey.
forward to.
So, like, I'll probably see this movie. Just like the reason I watched an entire season of Teen Wolf, I may end up watching this movie because Tyler Posey is very attractive.
Wow.
He's just really pretty, you guys.
He's so pretty, Mom.
He's really pretty.
Yeah, I dare you to end this segment. Let's move on.
Oh,
well, since you insist, Brand.
Challenge accepted.
Don't want to go get myself killed. So, also out today is The Party. Brent received his invite and went off to this soiree. So, was this film something to celebrate?
Yes! Janet, Kristen Scott Thomas, is having a small party to celebrate her promotion to Shadow Minister for Health. Her guests are as wildly different as they come, which is saying something considering there are only 6 of them, not including Janet. The night is a seamless dance of political and social ideals mixed with the most biting and sharp barbs. All the while, the group are waiting for the final guest, with secrets and emotions boiling over into a thrilling climax.
I could kill you!
You need to let the anger out. It's only natural.
Shut up, Godfrey. Your cliches are unbearable.
I smell burning.
Oh, it's the volivants.
Do you think we should leave them alone for a minute?
What for?
Personal space.
Revenge.
No. I believe in truth. Reconciliation.
What is it you're doing again, Tom?
Work in finance.
Oh, yeah.
We shared everything.
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 I'm disgusted.
So much negative female energy.
You could consider murder.
This is all coming out.
Our relationship is starting to look remarkably healthy.
very kind of you to call. Yes, just a little celebration.
There are only 7 people in this cast, and they are 7 of the most fine actors working at the moment. However, for me, it's Patricia Clarkson who steals the show. She is camp and witty and manages to eat up every scene she's in. I'm waiting for a world of reaction gifs that she will no doubt spark from this performance. And speaking of camp, there is a certain theatricality to the whole film that is absolutely divine to watch. It's practically a play on film. The very limited circumstances in this film let the acting and script really shine. By limiting it all to this one setting, the implications of past events are stronger in the audience's mind, and because for once we are being made to actually think for ourselves. It needs to be said that yes, the whole film is in black and white, but it's the device that works brilliantly. No opinion is truly black or white. Each character is made up of multiple shades of grey, and they all combine in a wicked milieu of dark comedy. I love to see such developed characters, but these characters do the near impossible. You start out liking everyone, and by the end of the film, there is a certain sense of loving hatred towards them all. From Cillian Murphy's deranged, coke-addled, stressed character to Timothy Spall's drunk pessimist, there is not a single foot out of place. And that's why I'm giving it 5 stars.
I was devastated to miss this one at last year's Melbourne International Film Festival because I'm so excited for this movie.
Yeah.
The cast is amazing.
So good.
And just the fact that it's this tight, contained, little acerbic comedy is just fully right up my alley. So I'm very jealous that you got to see this. But tell me more about the cast. Tell me more about Patty Clarkson.
Oh my god.
Oh, can that woman win an
Honestly,
fucking Oscar
the things
already?
that come out of her mouth during this film are phenomenal. I feel like it's almost all about her in a way. Like, the moment she enters, it's just like, darling, champagne, bam, 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 with one-liners. She hates her husband, but loves her husband, and everyone sort of represents a different sort of, not only political ideal, but also philosophical ideal, and it's just so fun to watch them just bounce off each other and interact and tear each other apart. Oh, it's camp. It's so much fun. And yeah, like you said, Chris, there's only, it's so contained. There's only 4 locations in this, and it's all in the one house. So we have like a living room, a courtyard, a kitchen, and a bathroom, and basically that's where everything goes down. It's so rich and dense that you could probably watch it multiple times and have a different experience every single time you see it. It was actually my favorite film of last year that I saw, but I wasn't allowed to put it as number 1 on my list because it hasn't been released until now. So guess what's number 1 on my list this year? Spoilers, whoops.
Is it Pacific Rim 2? Did I get,
oh God, no.
Did I get it right?
Arschlecken!
Have I won something? I got it right, didn't I? Brent's top 5 of 2018. Number 1, Arschlecken 2.
Also, did you not love how on Facebook automatically translated it to licking ass?
Oh my god, I died. Yes. I thought you had just had a stroke and captioned your photo licking ass.
No, so for those of you who don't know, I went to Pacific Rim 2 and captioned it like, I took a selfie at the media wall and was like, woo, so excited. Pacific Rim 2, Arschlecken, which in German means like rimming or licking ass, and it automatically translated on like everybody I know's Facebook. So it just looked like I wrote it, but I didn't. Anyway, back to the party. We failed to neglect that it's actually written and directed by Sally Potter.
I was just going to say that, yeah. She is clearly responsible for all of this amazing dialogue that you keep raving about.
So good. Genius. Absolute genius. I just can't believe it hasn't been recognised more widely. I could see this easily at Melbourne Theatre Company or Sydney Theatre Company getting put on as a main stage production because the writing is so tight and sharp. And the writing is so good that it's like a play, and like plays that I really do enjoy, it also only goes for 70 minutes. So it's really, you're in and you're out.
Chris, as a playwright, how do you feel about that comment?
Oh, I 100% agree. As, noted famous playwright me, quick game's a good game. Get in and out. 70 to 90 minutes, that's what you want to aim
perfect.
For. What can you say in 120 minutes that you can't say in 70?
Exactly. Speak faster.
But don't forget to enunciate.
Cut out the dance at the end of the second act.
Oh no, always include
Always leave the musical number.
Be like Sorkin's writing where they talk over the top of each other. That'll cut down like a good 20 minutes.
Yeah, perfect.
You guys are literally describing the play I'm writing. Anyway.
Is it about 4 great friends who get on a podcast and talk about movies together?
No, that sounds a bit far-fetched.
That would be a terrible premise.
That anyone could have.
That sounds really unrealistic.
Yeah, we hate each other. The party is in cinemas now, and check out my full review at maketheswitch.com.au.
Finally, National Theatre Live's Julius Caesar is out from this Saturday. Staged and shot in the round, this production from Nicholas Heitner places audiences a backstabbing away from stars Ben Whishaw, Michelle Fairley, and David Morrissey.
Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours?
Your Cassius hath a lean and hungry look. She thinks too much. Such ones are dangerous.
We all stand up against the spirit of Caesar, and in the spirit of men there is no blood. That we then could come by Caesar's spirit and not dismember Caesar, but alas, he must bleed for it.
Were I Brutus Antony, there were an Antony could ruffle up your spirits and put a tongue in every wound of Caesar that would move the stones of Rome to rise a mutiny.
Now let's check out the upcoming films in our trailer wrap. Here's the first look at Night School.
You're the best salesman I've ever seen. I can see you being a stockbroker like me.
Can't you give me a job?
I wish I could. My bosses won't let me hire a dropout.
Look at Mark Zuckerberg.
He dropped out of Harvard. You dropped out of Piedmont High.
I was a couple credits shy of graduating. I gotta get my GED.
I'm the principal of this school. I can do whatever I want. You're in my house.
Are you using a black voice?
No, I don't hear color.
All right, let's do some introductions. My name is Carrie. I'm here to make a little extra cash so that I can afford this warrant that I got. But that's none of y'all business. Welcome to night school.
This book is kind of thick. I thought it'd be more like a leaflet.
If you're not gonna do the work, drop the class.
Just no, I'm gonna do the work. You'll see.
We'll see.
Yes, we will.
Great.
Superb.
Excellent.
Good.
My suspicions were correct.
Boom.
You're clinically dumb. There is no cure for what you have. Oh my God. I got learning herpes? I got the gift to keep on giving.
Okay, so before all of you idiots shit on this trailer and this film, I'm gonna say I am looking forward to this movie. I don't think I've ever seen a Kevin Hart movie in cinemas, but I'll see this one because my girl Tiffany Haddish is in it, and I love her, and I will be fully in support of any success she has in her career because she was fucking fantastic at Girls Trip. Where was her Oscar nomination? She deserved better. # justice for Tiffany.
She played herself.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Judi Dench won an Oscar for playing herself. We want me to list the people who have won Oscars or been nominated for Oscars for playing themselves? Don't even come for me, bitch. This is the Tiffany Haddish Appreciation Podcast.
No, I love Tiffany Haddish, but I hated the fact that people were so livid about her so-called Oscar snub. It's like she literally played herself. But here's what I want to know about Night School. Does Tiffany Haddish wear her white Alexander McQueen dress in this film?
Oh my God.
I must know.
I
must know. Does it get another showing? How good would that be?
I feel like we've seen the entire film in the trailer and we're not going to get much else from it.
I don't know. Taron Killam, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart, stick them in a scene together. Something funny is surely to shit out. Like, come on.
Oh, I'm not doubting something funny will happen, but I feel like the plot is just clear as day.
This is going to end up becoming another ride-along film or another Central Intelligence film. It's going to be like that level of comedy.
Yeah, but at least this one has a female lead of some persuasion.
Correct.
That is
kind of, sort of, yeah.
A charming, charismatic screen presence who is deserving of this sort of new level of her career. So I will have no negativity about this.
Do you love Tiffany Haddish because at the Oscars she told Meryl Streep she wants her to be her mama?
Does the Pope shit in the woods? Like, yes. Yes.
And you were like, oh my God, that's my spirit animal right there on stage.
She
in the white
exactly
Alexander McQueen.
what I would have done, which is jump the rope in a red carpet in order to cut in front of Meryl Streep and say, Meryl, you're going to beat my mum one day.
Well, you can catch Night School in Australian cinemas from the 27th of September. Now, let's take a look at Farenheit 451.
Now, have any of you guys ever seen one of these bad things for real? We burned almost every physical book in the country. So by the time you guys grow up, there won't be one book left. Burn it.
What's wrong, Montag? Your vitals have been off recently.
Did firemen used to put out fires?
That's a classic lie. Have you used your drops today?
I want to know why we burn. We are not born equal. We must be made equal by the fire. And then we can be happy. I got things inside my head that don't make sense. Dreams that I can't explain. Read before the men come back. Do you want to know what's inside these books? Insanity.
I'm excited about this film purely because of the cast. I think Michael Shannon and Michael B. Jordan are extraordinary actors, and I'm excited to see what they can do together. However, the look of this film and the look of the trailer, there's something about it that doesn't fit for me. I know this is based on a book, and it's not the first time this film has been made. The last time was in 1966.
Is it then the fact that it's actually an HBO TV film?
Yes, that too. But it's so hyper-futuristic, and then there's book burning and stuff, and I said this earlier, so stay with me on this journey, folks. There is a scene in the trailer where Michael B. Jordan questions like a computer, like an AI computer kind of thing, about whether, because he plays a fireman who burns books, and he asked the computer if firemen actually used to put out fires instead of creating them. And it just gave me this like massive flashback to anyone who has ever seen the movie Wall-E, when the overweight captain of the flying island spaceship thing starts questioning the computer system about history and what people actually used to do before being fat and in these chairs. And he's learning about the ways of the world of yesteryear. And I seriously married these two scenes in my head. And I got confused after that. And now I don't know what to think.
And this has been our discussion on Farenheit 451.
Next week, we'll talk about how Schindler's List is like Beauty and the Beast. No.
What the fuck?
No. Okay, I'm kind of in Jess's camp. I have very mixed feelings about this trailer. It does look cheesy as all hell, but it is directed by a man named Ramin Barani, and he also wrote it or adapted the book. He is actually known for writing 99 Homes, and for anyone who has seen that, you will know it is actually an incredibly powerful and a very, very well-written film. And it also starred Michael Shannon alongside Andrew Garfield. So there is actually a little connection there. But yeah, I mean, to me, that does hold a glimmer of hope along with the actors who are involved in this. But at the same time, this whole trailer does just scream TV movie to me.
I'm looking forward to this mainly because of Michael B. Jordan, who, oh my God,
that boy is fine.
Is this podcast just me thirsting over different actors? Anyway.
Isn't it always?
Yeah, basically.
But also is one of the most exciting lead actors in Hollywood at the moment. I just think he's like fascinating to watch on screen and has never given a bad performance. But something about it does, like, I think the design of this, I wasn't quite expecting it to look like this. It looks a little bit like a kind of cheap Blade Runner knockoff.
Oh, I was going to say, like Hunger Games Maze Runner-esque look as well. Like it's got that weird futuristic sci-fi, but cheapish, like not well done, like a good Blade Runner.
Yeah, shots of the skyline of like these futuristic buildings with the huge, massive video ads. Like it looks like Blade Runner. Like it looks like they've lifted images from Blade Runner and then done them in worse CGI, which has me, concerned that it may not live up to it. But I love the performers that have been cast, and I've been following the writer-director, although I haven't actually seen any of his films, for years now. So I'm looking forward to this movie. But like, I now have some caveats. I have some concerns. I have some fears. I have some indigestion.
I have some heartburn.
Chris, at the very least, please do go see 99 Homes, because it is a spectacular film. It's really stunning.
Oh, yeah, I won't see it then.
Yeah, fuck you. Anyway, for better or worse, let's take a look at the return of Johnny English Strikes Again.
Good men gone, and where are all the gods?
We have a problem.
Good.
The identities of our serving agents have been exposed.
The country is in a state of complete chaos. And the universe sends me you.
Sir!
Yes, all right, Buff, we're going on a mission, not a honeymoon.
Tell me the agent you've got in the field is making some progress.
Target acquired. This is a job for the shoebox inflator.
Don't open it in the car!
So, where can I get that cover of Holding Out for a Hero? Because that's kind of my main takeaway from this trailer. Like, I love covers, and I love Bonnie Tyler.
No, the best cover of that song is actually from the remake of Footloose, in my opinion.
Oh, have not heard.
Or is it from Shrek 2?
Shrek 2, yeah. Come on, Shrek 2.
Jennifer Saunders. Fun fact, I used to watch that scene every morning before going to school for like a week.
Just that scene?
Yeah, just that scene, because it was the best part. Twist, I'm gay.
Don't worry, Chris.
Yeah,
I have
you didn't
a
need to
playlist.
tell anybody.
I have a playlist on my phone of songs that are just like designed to make you have a better morning.
Oh
You get psyched mix.
Not get psyched, but just like have a good day.
Does it start with U2's A Beautiful Day?
No, it does start with Another Day of Sun from La La Land, though, so, you know, guilty.
So, hey, this cover was actually involved in a film called Johnny English Strikes Again.
Yes. So this is the third one, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the third one. And I pity the cast who are involved in this. Like, there's such a spectacular cast on top of...
Emma Thompson!
Yeah, on top of obviously Rowan Atkinson, but it's also got Olga Kurilenko, who was fantastic in The Death of Stalin.
A Bond girl.
Oh, God, she's...
It's got Ben Miller in it. It's got, yeah, as you said, Emma Thompson in it. Like, it's actually got a great cast, and you're just wondering, how the fuck did you people agree to be in this movie?
Someone explain this to me. Rowan Atkinson is one of the most brilliant and accomplished comedians in history. How does he go on to make 3 Johnny English films?
Money.
Yeah, basically he has 2 characters, and one is Johnny English and one is Mr. Bean. So
I don't like any of those characters.
And Johnny English is just Mr. Bean who talks, so there you go.
yeah, this is true. It's like a bumbling idiot who actually has been given some credentials by the government for some moronic reason.
Moronic.
Yeah. Oy. Rowan, come back to the light side.
I think the weirdest thing about these films is that they're all written by the writers of the modern Bond series.
Oh.
Really?
So Robert Wade wrote Skyfall. Yay!
Yeah.
Spectre, boo. Casino Royale, yay! Quantum of Solace, boo. And he, also Die Another Day, boo. The World Is Not Enough, boo.
But Die Another Day was the best Bond song. That's what got me into Madonna, that song.
Oh my God.
The Madonna one?
They didn't write it though, Brent.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, it's interesting that these writers who have been like the custodians of modern James Bond films have also been the only other thing they've been doing in film during this time is the Johnny English series.
That is a sad existence.
Wow. Weird.
Well, you can track down Johnny English Strikes Again when it hits Australian cinemas on the 20th of September. And to check out all those trailers and more, head to youtube.com/MakeTheSwitchAU.
Ever since my sister announced that she was pregnant with my niece 6 years ago, and then my nephew less than a year later, my life has been one giant countdown to A, the day I can introduce them to Harry Potter, and B, the day I can start showing them the hilarious genius that is John Hughes. Although it seems that day is becoming further and further away, if it even comes around at all. Hughes' muse, Molly Ringwald, wrote an essay for The New Yorker describing her view of her most famous films and the scenes in them that today, and in light of the Me Too movement, will now be seen as sexist, misogynistic, and homophobic. So it poses the question, should we judge past films by today's moral standards?
And it's an interesting question. It's kind of something that I've been wrestling with a lot recently in conversations with friends and in conversations in classes at the institution that I'm currently studying at. But it's an interesting conversation because it's really getting into this thing that we really need to face at the moment with this whole Me Too movement. And it's the question of what do we do with the art of monstrous men? And I'm not saying that John Hughes is a monstrous man, but looking at his art and the things that he created, there are things in them to give us pause. I have no idea what the answer is, but I do know that as Molly Ringwald so beautifully and eloquently describes in the article in The New Yorker, which is really fucking fantastic and everyone should go read it, is that you may not be able to fully judge those things based on modern modern morals or modern viewpoints. But that doesn't mean that you aren't within your right to take pause at these things that are in these classic texts.
Absolutely. It reminds me of when I was at university, we had a very similar conversation. It's one of those sort of conversations that constantly happen. So I did like a digital art degree. I think what we ended up coming to an agreement on is that you cannot view anything but the morality that you have at that point in time. So you're always going to view it with your current sense of morality, even though intellectually you can say, oh, but that was made at a time where blah, blah, blah was different and da, 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 da. But right now you can watch it and go, ooh, that's a bit icky.
If we can view these films with that mindset and knowing that these things are wrong, then you can still assess the film for what it is. It's so hard to judge art, and time just moves so fast now. Like, I think you probably even find films from 5 years ago that suffer from the same issues that The Breakfast Club does.
Yeah. I tried rewatching White Chicks the other day, and oh my God, I just don't think they could be these days.
Oh, right. Do you know what's so funny is that 2-3 days ago, I just randomly started thinking about the movie American Pie. And one of the most famous scenes in that film is when Jim, played by Jason Biggs, is in his bedroom with the foreign exchange student, and he ends up broadcasting her nakedness and him stripping to his entire class. And it's one of those things where back then, the idea of saying to a friend, hey, give me the web address for this like private link and we're all going to sit around and we're going to watch this girl get naked without her permission. That's going to be filmed and streamed across the internet. And it was a hilarious idea. And the film made $1 gazillion and like 1,000 more sequels, and everyone loved it and everyone laughed. But today, I was just randomly thinking about it and it made me feel sick. And it might be because I am a woman, or it might be because back in the day, I watched that film and I loved it along with everyone else. But I'm older, I'm wiser, my mind has been changed by everything that's happened in the last 12 months. And honest to God, I felt sick to my stomach at the idea that boys might have watched this film and then gone on to try and do something like that in real life. Or if kids saw this film today and again tried to mimic it, or thought that that kind of behavior was okay, because we live in a world with, you know, things like revenge porn or girls who send nude selfies and then guys go and spread that around to his friends and stuff like that. And it is an odd world that we live in now, and how we view these things, where even something just as close as 12 months ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, now it seems so foreign and horrible by today's standards. Like, our evolution is going, our moral evolution is moving so quickly these days. It's a really tricky to navigate.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that like Breakfast Club is an inherently bad film or a film that
absolutely.
we shouldn't watch or show to younger generations. Although that's a bit weird saying younger generations, as I am that younger generation because you're all so old. But it does. What it means is that we should just be able to talk about these things. We should have these conversations where we get into these tough issues, which, you know, feel a bit uncomfortable because a lot of people love these films.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we can't talk about the things in them that maybe don't hold up as well as other things do.
I distinctly remember watching Breakfast at Tiffany's with my parents and being like, why is that man like acting like that? And then this was when I was much younger. I'm still quite young as it is.
And
True.
single.
Brent at maketheswitch.com.au.
Oh, don't give out my
Always
personal
send your
email
emails.
to everyone. Oh my God. It's the email I use to sign up to competition.
It's on the website.
Anyway, this is so derivative, it doesn't even matter. But I remember we had the conversation about why that character, I can't remember his name.
Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney, yeah. Awful. Yeah. But I remember saying to my parents, like, why is that? And they were just like, back then, da-da-da-da-da. And it's that thing that you just said, Chris. Conversations can happen and should happen, and that's how we can differentiate it.
Yeah. So going back to how this discussion all started, I do want to show these films that I grew up and loved and adored, and still to this day, I want to show them to my niece and nephew, but I am recognizing the older that I get, that the older they need to be in order to see them, so that we can have these conversations. I think these films are great. I think they still are, but obviously they have their flaws by today's standards. I think the key is recognition. We need to recognize that it's not okay to call someone a fag. We need to recognize that it's not okay to sexually harass someone, and we need to understand that it's not okay to treat women the way they do in these films. And obviously, kids just need to sort of have that mental and emotional capacity to understand these things when we teach them to them in the future. So do you agree or not agree with anything we just discussed? We would love to hear your thoughts, and we'll add the link to Molly Ringwald's article in our show notes.
Moving on to something mildly lighter. Around a month ago, dogs across Australia had a near-death experience thanks to the piercing sounds of my terrifyingly high-pitched screams in response to the news that Meryl Streep would be joining the cast of Big Little Lies Season 2. Truly, that's the gag of the season. With the just-released first image of Meryl and Nicole Kidman, aka two of the greatest living actresses, TM, in character in the one frame, we thought we'd celebrate La Streep's return to television for the first time in over a decade by looking at the big Hollywood names taking the plunge into the golden age of television. So first up, Charlie, who are you excited for? Got anything to offer?
I think a show that really got a lot of attention and was kind of in the earlier stages of the recent return to TV as kind of this golden age was True Detective. And seeing people like Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson appearing in that series was kind of phenomenal at the time. Same for going back even further. In Homeland, we had Claire Danes in that. And pretty much everybody who appears in the TV series version of Fargo as well. There's this huge amount of phenomenal actors in that show. So, yeah.
Ewan McGregor.
There is just this great breakdown of late, especially, of TV actors either coming back to the small screen or first-timers coming and finding these fantastic little TV shows like Your Big Little Lies. The small screen is not a place to be afraid of anymore. It's not something that can be looked down to. And in fact, there is so much going on there at the moment that there is just a huge demand for these kind of quality actors to go with these quality productions, as I'm sure many of you will agree.
Yeah, hello, Winona Ryder.
That's a great example.
Yes, oh my God, Yards Queen. No, I'm an 80s child. I grew up with Winona Ryder, and obviously she had her troubles. She had her troubles. Free Winona, what's up? But yeah, she came back with Stranger Things, and she is. The show keeps on going. She is phenomenal. I know that she's the gift that keeps on giving. Because last year at the SAG Awards when she made that funny face that created the meme that rocked the world or whatever.
Current stress level, Winona Ryder in every scene of Stranger Things.
Yeah, Winona Ryder. God love that woman.
So good.
What about director of Big Little Lies, Jean-Marc Vallée? His follow-up to Big Little Lies is actually a show called, I'm pretty sure, Sharp Objects, and it's the latest adaptation of a work by Gillian Flynn, the author behind and screenwriter behind Gone Girl. And this one was going to star Amy Adams. And in a lead supporting role in Sharp Objects, Patty Clarkson.
Oh!
Heck yeah, my dude. As Amy Adams' mother. Fuck me. That's exciting.
We have to recognize that the reason why this surge is happening is because it's all about content. There are so many more avenues and so many more slots to fill. These actors at their core, these are artists, and you're asking them, instead of playing a character over a 90-minute film, you're asking them to play these incredible story arcs by these incredible, because even film directors are turning to television writers as well. You're asking them to play these incredible characters over like 10, 12 plus weeks, and they're relishing this fact. And why wouldn't they? Because it takes the same time it would take to shoot a film, like a couple of months, because they're doing these short form TV series instead of, signing on for contracts that last years and you have to make 24 episodes a year or something like ridiculous like that. And so they are able to make their film projects before, after, and in between, taking on these incredible television roles. And that's why we're seeing Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman return to television, and Reese Witherspoon's doing more. She's also got that Apple project with Apple TV project with Jennifer Aniston. Yay, Jennifer Aniston's coming back to TV. And that's why we saw Jeff Daniels do Newsroom for a couple seasons, and why David Fincher is doing TV now as well. I think these are amazing projects, and they're telling amazing stories, and the money's there and the talent's there, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, and honestly, you can see it on screen. Like one of the most wonderful things about Nicole Kidman's performance in Big Little Lies, and honestly, I could wax was poetic about Nicole Kidman in Big Little Lies for a very long time. But one of the most wonderful things is just seeing her actively relish the opportunity to really dig into this character and this setting and this story in all these fantastic, intimate, intricate ways that she wouldn't normally be afforded to in an hour-and-a-half film, because she's given 7 hours to really explore every aspect of this person.
It's such an immense character study, Big Little Lies, so that's why I think it appeals to those caliber of actors. And I think the quality of screenwriting is significantly increased in the past, say, 5 years, in a way that it's encouraging all of these actors to make the decision to come and work in TV either again or for the first time.
Yeah, and because of HBO and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and stuff, they're not conforming to that network structure. So these projects and these actors aren't being bogged down and censored by network executive notes and censorship. They are telling these incredibly rich stories with these incredible, and especially with Big Little Lies, these incredibly rich female characters that are just exploding everywhere, and people are embracing them so wholeheartedly, and they're being awarded and rewarded because of the process. And, you know, like Nicole and Reese Witherspoon as well are also producers on this series, and it's giving them that avenue as well. So these women aren't just attacking these projects as performers, they're attacking them as creative minds as well, and women of power. And it is truly incredible what's happening in TV.
It's incredible.
Years.
So, we have some great giveaways up for grabs this week. First up, we're giving you the chance to win one of 5 copies of Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Starring Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan, when 4 high school kids discover an old video console with a game they've never heard of, Jumanji, they are immediately drawn into the game's jungle setting, literally becoming the adult avatars they chose. But what they soon discover is that you don't just play Jumanji, you must survive it.
The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society is also heading to cinemas soon, and we're giving you the chance to win one of 10 double passes. It's 1946 London when charismatic and free-spirited writer Juliet, Lily James, receives a letter from a member of the mysterious literary club that was started in Nazi-occupied Guernsey. Her curiosity piqued, Juliet decides to visit the island. There she meets the delightfully eccentric members of the society, including Dorsey, Mikhail Huisman, the rugged farmer who wrote her the letter. As the secrets from the wartime past unfold, Juliet's growing attachment to the island, the book club, and her affection for Dorsey will change the course of her life forever. To win this and all our awesome prizes, head to maketheswitch.com.au/comps now.
And before we go, we'd like to offer you some cinematic inspiration, with each of us suggesting one film that you should see this week and why. For me, there's a film which I hold near and dear to my heart, which has very recently just been released on home entertainment. Some of you might be able to guess from that what it is. If you cannot, it is Disney's Coco.
He does not stop about this film. It's just like constantly Coco.
I'm sorry. Am I wrong? Is it a terrible film? Do you not like it?
I don't know. I'm waiting for my next plane ride to cry.
Talking about a film which handles another culture without going into appropriation, Coco is actually a great example of that, because although it is made by Disney Pixar, it is in fact kind of ingrained in the Mexican culture and does a really superb job of going in depth into the culture itself, into the people, into the way they behave and act, and kind of the whole family structure that you see. And so much of that is because of all the research that they did, the creative team that they had working on it, which was a very diverse team. They spent years and years doing research in Mexico for this film as well, talking and living with families, that kind of thing. But more than anything, it comes down to this absolutely beautiful story of a boy whose name is Miguel, and he disobeys his family. He loves music and ends up being transported to the land of the dead. He then goes and meets one of the greatest musicians in Mexican musical history, Ernesto de la Cruz, and from there believes that he can transport him back to the real world. So this whole adventure ensues as his family is chasing him through the land of the dead. It's just this really fantastic story that has family and passion at its heart. So It's beautiful and heartwarming, despite all the rubbish that these guys will tell you about me being obsessed with it. It is a great film, and I have seen it like 4 times now. So
Only 4.
I'm probably going to watch it on iTunes tonight. So yeah.
Like, man, I sobbed during that film. It'll get ya.
And the dog. How about the dog?
Yeah. Dante.
What about Dante the dog?
Yeah.
Rare instance where I'll get behind one of Charlie's choices.
Yes. I win. I beat Chris. Okay, so yeah. Coco is a fantastic film. Go and see it if you haven't yet. If you have, see it again, because bloody hell, it just gets better every time you see it. Trust me. Jess, what have you got on the cards for this week?
Okay, this is a film that I feel like I've seen it at least 5 times in the last month because it's been on Foxtel a lot, and every time I can't go past it. I just have to sit and watch it because I love this film so much. It's the 2003 movie Something's Gotta Give by Nancy Meyers. Laugh if you will. I adore this film. So
I'm wearing a turtleneck.
Yeah, so here's the premise. You've got Diane Keaton, who plays a very accomplished playwright, and her daughter, played by Amanda Peet, brings home her much older boyfriend, played by Jack Nicholson. Anyway, Diane and Jack do not like each other, obviously, when they first meet, but due to certain circumstances, they're forced into each other's company for a period of time, and they end up getting to know each other and liking each other and forming a relationship. So it's about 2 very opposite people who unexpectedly find sort of love and companionship in a very unexpected partners late in life and sort of discovered new sides to themselves. This is a Nancy Meyers film, so obviously it's filled with
kitchen,
beautiful sets and kitchen. Oh my God, amazing kitchens and seaside settings. And Diane Keaton wears nothing but white the entire time and turtlenecks. And it's beautifully heartwarming and it's very romantic and it is absolutely hysterical in some parts. It also has Frances McDormand in it and Keanu Reeves. And I loved the pairing of Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton. I couldn't believe that it had never really happened before. These 2 are magic together. They are so accomplished. They're experts in their craft, and together they 100% they created cinematic magic. And it's just this movie is a great time. 100% great time. It's funny, it's beautiful, it's romantic, it's sad in parts, and it's one of those films that gives your heart a lift.
Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, Something's Gotta Give.
Lovely. 2 heartfelt films. Isn't that nice? Brent, do you also have something for us that'll warm the heart?
Not so much, but it might warm your ears. The film that I'm going for this...
What?
Oh, what, says Charlie? What? The film that I'm going for is a 1984 classic, Amadeus, about the life of Mozart. It's one of my favourite films.
My ears?
Oh.
Yeah, it'll warm your ears with lots of good music.
It'll fill my ears.
It'll fill every part here. It's sort of like a poetic adaptation of the life of Mozart and his rival with Salieri, another court composer in Vienna. And it was adapted from the stage play Amadeus, which was written by Peter Shaffer, who also produced the screenplay. And it was nominated for like 1 billion awards. It won the Academy Award for Best Picture that year. And it's just beautiful. The music is luscious. The scenery is luscious. The acting is off the charts. Like, if anyone deserved an Oscar but didn't get it, it's Tom Hulce for his portrayal of Mozart. Oddly enough, the guy who played Salieri, F. Murray Abraham, won the Academy Award and is one of the few times that 2 men from the same film have been nominated for the same award in a leading actor role. And, fun fact as well, Mark Hamill from Star Wars was really angry that he didn't get the part of Mozart because he'd been playing Mozart on Broadway for quite some time when the film was announced to be made into a movie.
Ooh.
Anyway, it's a very, very good film, and it just sort of shows you the genius, the mania, and the beauty of Mozart's music. My grandfather loves it, and that's how I first watched it. So then I naturally had to buy the DVD, as you do. Oh my God, Cynthia Nixon is in it. Sorry.
I was about to say that. Screen debut of current political candidate Cynthia Nixon.
Yep. She plays a
maid.
Plays a maid who's spying for Salieri.
Spying for Salieri.
Now that should be a film title.
A new musical.
Okay, Brent, that was a nice choice. Chris, you're going to round out the podcast. What have you got for us this week?
I'm not going to cheat this week. I'm so sorry, everyone. But because we've had this conversation about...
our listeners will weep.
Oh, they'll be devastated. I'm so sorry, everyone. Because we had this conversation about TV, and we mentioned Big Little Lies and director Jean-Marc Vallée and star Reese Witherspoon, I'm going to pick the film that they collaborated on that then led to Big Little Lies, which was Wild, which is a great film from 2014. I really love it. It's directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, screenplay by Nick Hornby, and it's based on the life and the memoir by Cheryl Strayed, who is a woman who, following some pretty rough times in her life, ended up hiking the entire Pacific Crest Trail in America. And it's the beginning of this style that Jean-Marc Vallée has kind of developed through Wild and through Big Little Lies, where it's very intimate. It's very much caught up in the headspace of his characters, and the editing and the combination of imagery and the way that sound in particular is used is really fascinating. And you really get a wonderful insight into the characters' heads and their headspace and where their mind and thoughts are going, and like it almost plays like a memory play or something. Reese Witherspoon is fantastic. Laura Dern is fantastic. But my favorite thing about this movie, and I'm not sure if I've told this story on the podcast before, is that when it came out, I was actually performing in a play at the same time, and two of my fellow performers and myself decided to have a movie day before the show that night. And we went and did a double feature of The Theory of Everything, the Stephen Hawking biopic, and then Wild. And then so we spent the day kind of bawling our eyes out and just emotionally draining ourselves, particularly my two friends. I have an incredible photo of the two of them after the films, just looking like absolute shit. And then we went on stage that night and did like our best performance. And so it was this wonderful, wholesome, exhausting, draining, terrifying day of having these fantastic, well, at least one fantastic film, and then like a good performance afterwards. So it was really great. It holds a special place in my heart. So shout out to Ari and Imogen. This one's for you.
Plus, also, how wild is it seeing Reese Witherspoon as a heroin addict?
It's pretty wild.
Is that a bad pun, Jess? That's like pretty bad even by my standards. So
no, I didn't mean to.
Wait, Charlie, you have standards.
Well, all around, they were some really great suggestions this week. So go check them out. And you can find the links to all the articles that we've talked about on this week's podcast at maketheswitch.com.au. Please also subscribe to SWITCHCast on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to rate us. And stay in touch on Twitter. I'm at Charlie_David. Jess?
I'm at Miss Jess_Switch.
Brent?
At Brent C. Davidson.
And Chris?
At Chris C. Edwards.
Like it, follow it. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at MakeTheSwitchAU to stay up to date with all the latest reviews, news, trailers, and giveaways.
And you can find all the notes and links to everything we've discussed on this week's podcast, as well as other episodes, by visiting switchcast.com.au.
On next week's show, I check out Amy Schumer's I Feel Pretty, plus I'll take a bite out of the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
Plus, Jake will join us with his review of Super Troopers 2. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you all next week.